What if I were to suggest that you play a key role in the awakening world? And that you are watching this because you have heard the call. We can start right now by opening our hearts and minds. Welcome to the awakening world.
Good evening, everybody. I am Love Coach Scott Katamas, and I'm grateful to be your host for the Awakening World. Welcome to our Saturday night edition. This is always the big show for us, where we have lots of wonderful music. Tonight we've got Tatiana Speed and Omashar, as well as videos from Johanna Beekman and Honey of the Heart. We also have some really wonderful presenters. We're going to hear from Shakti Durga coming to us. And we love Shakti Durga. It's great to have her back with us. We also are going to hear from Lynn Twist. We're going to hear from a new friend through Jennifer Hill, who's my co-host. And you're going to meet Jennifer in a moment. She's going to be with us in a second. So we've got a really wonderful show. And the theme is so important. It's all about our divine purpose, living our lives in a committed way. So I really want to invite all of you to be ready to participate. This is going to be one of those shows we want to read your comments. We might even have some of you come on camera and share a little bit. And I want to acknowledge all of you who are watching on Facebook. Thank you to John and Summer Raymer. They run the Sign Network, which gets us out to over 100 Facebook groups and pages. So thank you, John and Summer. Also, you might be watching us on Alan Steinfeld's YouTube channel or on our new broadcast partner, the Conscious Awakening Network. So if you're seeing us in one of those ways, come on into the Zoom room. Come join us, and it's easy to do that. I'm inviting you to join the Global Peace Tribe. Just go to globalpeacetribe.com, globalpeacetribe.com. You'll see a little down here where it says register for the winter season here. Click. And it's easy. You register and you're going to get the links to all of our shows for the rest of December, all of January, all of February, and all of March. You're going to get all those links. We do 3, sometimes more shows every week. Last night we had a wonderful show with some of our favorite luminaries. Of course, this is the show we're doing tonight. And then tomorrow we're tackling a really important topic, overcoming and even healing religious dogma, trauma, disillusionment. So we tackle important topics. We bring beautiful luminaries, some of whom are well known, some of whom will soon be well known. I like to call it the next generation. And speaking of next generation, I can't think of a more next generation luminary than Jennifer Hill. She really does. Yeah, you're it. You represent where we're going. Your energy, your enthusiasm, your ability to be in 4 continents in the same week.
True story.
Yeah, it is a true story.
Good to see you, Maureen. Maureen's here from Vancouver. I always share this with all of our channels on social and just so grateful to be a part of this community. I can't think of another way I'd rather spend my Saturday evening.
Oh, well, thank you. So you really are living a committed life. What does that theme mean to you personally and on a macro level?
I think purpose, Scott, is something that it's almost indiscernible. It's this thing that is like breath. You know, you don't wake up in the morning and think to yourself, oh, I should breathe today. Oh, I forgot to breathe again. Purpose is really this driving force. It's like being breathed rather than doing the breathing. And I remember we were talking actually off camera earlier before the show, Scott, and I was sharing when I was about 16 to 21, I did try to commit suicide 3 times. And I've only recently started sharing about this in the last several years. I really didn't know who I was. I felt like a complete black sheep and an outsider and could not understand what my purpose was. And it takes a lot of soul searching and a lot of really listening for that still, silent, quiet voice that is our soul. And I think that's the beauty of the work that you are doing here with Awakening World and the Global Peace Tribe and this incredible community. When we tune out that noise, the noise of God bless our parents, you should be doing this, you shouldn't be doing that, you know, the noise of society and so many people out there, there's really one sound that we should be listening for, and that is listening to the sound of our soul. And the more that we spend time in this beautiful, quiet, meditative, reflective practice, whatever that looks like for you, it might be walking, running, meditating, doing yoga. It's about connecting to that capital V voice, as we've talked about before on the show, and being willing to take action on it. I may have shared this before and I adore it. Michael Beckwith taught me many years ago that every day we should ask the Creator, what is mine to do today? What is my assignment today? And to listen for that. And then to ask, what is my purpose? And give me the strength and certainty and courage to continue to walk the path of my purpose. And that's it. I think that for me sums up what purpose is and how we can listen for it. And the greatest gift that we can give another human being, whether it's our child, our spouse, our best friend, our colleague, is to listen for that purpose, that thing that sometimes people don't know. Many of you may not know this. I actually built and sold my first company in legal recruiting. And I remember so often I'd be sitting across the desk from somebody who would be telling me they were going out to interview for this job or that job. And then I could hear their soul was saying, I want to be a writer. I dream of being a musician. And I would often share it. I could make money on them because I was a recruiter and place them in a job because they were so talented. And yet I would have these really just direct conversations. I'd say, is that really what you want to do? And it's just beautiful to see 10, 20 years later, all of the different trajectories that our path and purpose takes us. And in fact, I'll digress and share one little quick story here, Scott, I was sharing with you earlier. There was a brilliant man by the name of Chase Jarvis, who I had the pleasure of interviewing for my first book years ago called Get Yourself the Job. And Chase and I, when we met, I interviewed him and he said, you know, Jen, when I was a little boy, I just remember I would pick up a camera and I would hold that camera and I'd take pictures. It was like back in the day where you had like Polaroid cameras. And he said, I love that. And yet as I grew up, I had 2 parents who were doctors. And so they really encouraged me, go out and be a doctor like us. And so he gets all these scholarships in school. He goes on, I believe it was soccer that he got scholarships in college for. He's in medical school. And I believe after he had all these accolades, he was in about his 1st or 2nd year of medical school. And his heart just said, this is not mine. This is not mine. And he let it go and he gave it all up to go back to that passion he had had as a 5-year-old boy. And he went back and he picked up the camera. And if you Google Chase's name, Chase Jarvis, he is one of the most prominent commercial photographers in the world, though he had to go against everybody else around him saying, oh, but you could be a famous soccer player. Oh, but you're so smart, you could be a doctor. And no, you know, he connected to the 5-year-old inside of him that just wanted to pick up a camera and he got to do what he loved for a living. So that is my wish for everyone who's listening right now, is that you too get to connect to your purpose and be able to experience that and share that with the world.
Now I want to invite everybody, let's just take a moment right now of silence and tune in. What is your divine purpose? What comes to mind? Some of you, it's clear, and some are still exploring it. What comes to mind? I am in my divine purpose when I am. And I would love for any of you that feel so inspired to put it in the chat box. Put it in the chat box. And thank you, Jennifer. I love co-hosting with you, and we've got everything ahead of us.
Love coasting with you too, Scott. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And speaking of inspiration, we've got Tatiana Speed with us tonight. And so Tatiana is absolutely one of our favorite musical artists. And again, an example of someone who is living her purpose. And you went through a healing journey that is, again, very common. You know, people are on a track and something comes along. Sometimes it's a healing crisis or the end of a marriage or the loss of a job. You go through that kind of in between purgatory time. And then you come out of it. And I think that may be part of your story.
That is absolutely part of my story, yeah. And the song I want to share actually is about that. I'm working on an album right now. It's going to be called the Dark Night album. And it speaks to these passages we go through where it's almost like an initiation. Everything gets stripped from us. Our life can seem to crumble and fall apart. They're so hard to walk through these passages. For me, it was completely debilitating illness that I was basically incapacitated in a bed for 2.5 years, and I'm still on a journey of recovery from. But in retrospect, was such a profound blessing, because in those 2 years was such deep meditative soul work where I really had to let go of everything inauthentic. Not to say that I've completely eradicated every inauthentic part of me, but there was a real stripping bare of my heart and my soul, and a seeing of the ways I had been chasing cultural, familial, societal approval, trying to, make it in the eyes of the world, whatever that means, being on the treadmill of this modern society, which never stops. And that's part of what, took my body to that point, was just never stopping, never resting, and coming to this much deeper place, which for me really required just absolute stillness, completely stopping, letting the world go. And that's what the song I'm about to share is. And I think that, I don't know, I have a theory, and I'd love to know from everyone else here if these passages kind of are the gateways into our true Dharma and divine purpose. Like, we can't find our purpose perhaps without having some of these cultural conditionings kind of like stripped from us, and it's sometimes a very painful process. So that's been my journey, and it's ongoing, as I think all our journeys are ongoing, but it really did feel like quite a severe and powerful initiation that's led me into the experience of what alignment can feel like. Like, I learned how to feel aligned in every relationship, how to feel aligned in every action. Like, I had to get so subtle with every place that felt out of integrity and out of alignment. And so that's been my journey. Yeah.
Well, we are grateful to have you and your artistry, and everything you do with so much love, which is one of the themes of our show tonight. So now, you said that the song you're about to play is connected. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I've got a new project that's just percolating right now, and it's going to be based on, because there's a lot of songs that came out of this journey that have not been shared publicly at all, but I think are very deep songs and really speak to these moments. It's going to be called the Dark Night album, and this one's kind of more of like the story of my journey, but there's going to be other songs that speak to just the different parts of the soul that we go through. So that's the song. It's called True and Deep, and I'm delighted to play it for you.
All right.
I danced the streets of Paris. I fell in love in New York. And I watched the sunset over Tel Aviv. I felt the snows of Montreal, the desert suns of the east, and I let my gypsy soul roam free. But I'm leaving it all behind me for a simple life. Somewhere deep in the woods and far, far away from the city lights. I am leaving everything I know behind me. I am leaving to find something true and deep. I ran as fast as I could for as far as I was able, and I got my victory. But if victory means feeling that all of me needs healing, then I just don't wanna play. So I'm leaving it all behind me for someplace quiet and still. I need silence, I need solitude, and I will rest until I've had my fill. I am leaving everything I know behind me. I am leaving to find something true and deep. Now I have a little house in the middle of the woods where the silence sings. I'm alone, but I'm happy. I feel content. I have everything I need. I left the world and its demands, and now I walk barefoot on the land. And I listen to the trees as they tell me to be as silent as I can. To be as silent as I can. To be as silent as I can.
I'm going to go to gallery view for a moment, just where we can all send such love and beautiful appreciation. It's also wonderful to see all these wonderful faces, all these people that I love. Look at everybody there. That was beautiful, Tatiana. Just beautiful.
Thank you, everyone. Oh, it's so sweet to see everybody's faces.
Isn't that fun?
It is. There's real people on here.
Yeah, that's our global peace tribe out there. You know, I that song, I just want to again acknowledge that so often we do, not always, but often we have to leave something or a lot behind to come into our divine purpose, to come into the next chapter of our life. And that song really beautifully captured that perception, that experience.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah.
Well, good news, everybody. Tatiana is going to be with us tonight. We've got more Tatiana coming up. But I also want to just remind everybody, let's always support our artists. And a wonderful way to do it is by going to her website, tatianaspeed.com. Definitely put in your name, your email address, subscribe. And she has always got fun stuff up there, music videos, her new releases. So I love Caravan. She's played that on our show before. So let's all spend time at tatianaspeed.com. And really good to have you with us again. And we'll see you in a little bit. I'm turning it over to my co-pilot, Jennifer, who's got a very special guest.
Yes, Scott, it is so wonderful. First, I want to thank Tatiana. It's such a pleasure to be in the presence of your beautiful mastery of words and of music. It's poetry to our ears. So thank you so much for sharing your soul and your divine purpose with us. I think we can all clearly agree that you are living your purpose. Thank you, Tatiana. Just so much gratitude for you and for everything you went through to bring that out. Thank you. Really appreciate you. And purpose, speaking of purpose, my gosh, we couldn't have a more appropriate next speaker, thought leader, incredible soul sister and friend, Shakti Durga. Shakti Durga, my God, has had such an incredible path. She has trained over 10,000 healers around the world. She's currently actually on a world tour. She and I met up in London a couple months ago. She's been all around the world. We just got to hug each other in San Diego a couple of days ago. She has authored 5 books. She is the pioneer of a couple of incredible initiatives, the Conscious Connection, ShaktiDurga.com, the Wellbeing Initiative, which I was sharing with Shakti actually 2 days ago, literally saved one of my best friends' lives. The WBI.org offers free healings. Many of you know I'm a founder of Om Heals, which offers paid for healings. And a lot of the time I get people who can't afford healings, and I'm always referring them to Shakti, and many of her wonderful teachers are on our platform. So Shakti, I love you, my friend. You are my soul sister. And we are so grateful to have you here and talk about transformation. Maybe you could start by sharing a little bit about how you found your purpose, going from being a Sydney barrister to a world famous thought leader and spiritual teacher.
Well, as you say, good evening, everybody. Lovely to be here with you. And Tatiana, that was spectacular. Really beautiful song. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. And you just seem to have the codes of truth and authenticity in your voice. You know, it feels like a transmission as much as it feels like a song. So well done. Really beautiful. Yes. Well, how did I get from here to there? By following the breadcrumbs, I think, just one thing after another. But when I was back in my lawyer days and having a lot of stress and going through a divorce and lots of issues, it caused me to look at things I'd never looked at before, like personal development work and meditation and then energy healing, each of which stretched me a lot beyond where I'd previously even had belief. I didn't believe in any of these things like meditation or energy healing before I sort of had a go and tried things. And then I was so fascinated by what happens when you have these things that I wanted to learn more about it. So I followed my passion, actually, is what I did. And then I became my spirit felt so ignited with the joy of, wow, you can go and have an energy healing and 6 months worth of bronchitis can jump out of your chest because the energy healer recognizes that there's buried grief and anger in your lungs. And I didn't know it was there. I had no idea. I couldn't feel it. It was subconscious. And so to have that kind of thing happen, I thought, wow, well, if that can happen for me, what can happen for all these other people? So I learned and then started practicing as a healer while I was still a trial attorney in Australia. And I just was fascinated by what happened to people when they had healing, and also how my own consciousness was evolving through all of that. And I think that's one of the things I'd like to talk about tonight with living a committed life of divine purpose, is that I think over time, as we attempt to do that, our consciousness starts to evolve. And evolution of consciousness is not so much about learning more stuff. It's about that you, who is witnessing the stuff, see it differently. And to me, that's the evolution of consciousness. And sure, you're likely to go and learn all sorts of different things and experience all sorts of different things, but it's because you're evolving and changing. So how I got from there to here was a very zigzaggy, windy road. And I've got to say, if I'd known back then what I'm doing now, I would have thought I was a bit crazy, I wouldn't have been ready for it. It would have been too much. I just would not have been prepared for what my everyday life is like now. And I think sometimes the divine's very kind in giving you one step at a time. Just this step, just go and follow these breadcrumbs to here, and then get a bit established there, and then you'll be heading off over here and then over here. But all of it's relevant to where you'll eventually be. That's been my experience. How's it been for you in that way?
Yes, very similar. In fact, you can't believe how uncanny this is. One of the amazing energy healers on our platform did astrocartology for me recently. And I don't know if any of you have ever tried that, but I didn't know anything about it. And so I was born in California and then wound up meeting my soulmate, my love in New York, and then now live in Lisbon, Portugal. And I kid you not, Shakti, it literally said, for New York, you'll very likely meet the love of your life. And then for Lisbon, as I mentioned, I had a completely different career, completely different, nothing to do with healing, much like you. When my current business partner, Julian Adler, who was my coach back then 10 years ago in recruiting, said, Jen, I'm going to teach you how to listen to your heart. This is terrible. Don't judge me for it. I said, I'm going to fire you. That's just, have you lost your mind? What are you talking about? Teach me how to listen to my heart. And now fast forward 10 years later, and the thing that boggles my mind about astrocartography, you look at Lisbon, you look at the line that goes there for me, and it says, you will have a complete career change, which will now involve healing instead. I'm like, you can't make this up. So it is, and it's purpose, it is our purpose. You have to allow, there's so much allowing that happens with purpose. And just letting go and surrendering, like Michael Singer's The Surrender Experiment, I think really encapsulates that.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so one thing that's been important for me has been over time developing a vision about what it feels like that my purpose is. And it didn't all come at once, as I've said before, but I know that, for instance, my purpose is around helping people with tools in their daily life that can help them to live with more ease and grace. And that involves energy healing. It involves specific tools for people on a spiritual path, and particularly for people whose consciousness is evolving on a spiritual path, because it can be quite confronting when your consciousness changes and you're thinking differently to how you used to, or you're thinking differently to how the people around you are thinking, and you can doubt yourself a lot. And so there's a whole bunch of tools that are specifically for people who are evolving on their spiritual path. So that's what my vision is about. That's what my mission's about. But I've got to say, it hasn't always been smooth sailing. And there's been times when really there's been setbacks. And I'm sure that I wouldn't be the only one who has experienced significant setbacks when you've got this clear vision, you've got this clear mission and purpose, and you've had all this success and it's, flown ahead, and then suddenly crunch, there's something that just isn't flowing. It's just, you feel like you're banging your head against a wall. And what I've learned through that is that this is a time for us to really look at how much of what it is that is our vision and our mission and our purpose is held at a certain level of vibration. And yet for the vision to manifest requires us to actually transform to be at a higher level of vibration. And we don't know that until we're in the situation where, okay, so it's not flowing. So then it's like, okay, how do I do that? And for me, it's been about meditation. It's been about energy healing. Clean up your energy field. Get help from other healers. Learn new things that will support you And what I've seen a lot of other people do when they come to this part of the path, which is a very common place where you've got a vision, but there's setbacks,
Mm.
people will doubt that their vision was a true vision. And they will think, it mustn't have been real. It must have been a delusion. It must have just been, I've been fooling myself all this time. It's not true. Whereas I don't think that's right. I think that the setback is there to help us to grow. And don't give up your vision. Sometimes I think the divine wants to help us, but the ego wants to own the divine and it wants the divine to serve it. I don't know if anyone else has seen anybody like that ever. And of course, that's never going to work. And so, as you were saying before, letting go of the expectations that we have about life and that we picked up from family, society, school, from the mass consciousness, from wherever. Uh, and it's kind of like when you go into a restaurant and you want to order something from the menu. So you look at the menu, you're looking at the menu. I'm going to have vegetarian lasagna. Yum. And so just pretend that's your vision. So you give that to the waiter gives it to the chef. And then you just sit there and enjoy yourself, have a nice drink, have some nice conversation. And then what happens as you're happy and you're just relaxing and you're looking forward to your vegetarian lasagna and you can visualize your vegetarian lasagna, but you're not out there cooking it. You allow the chef to cook it. And in this little analogy, our vision is like what we've ordered, and the chef is like the divine that's working behind the scenes to put all the pieces together in a way that's beyond anything we could ever have imagined. And so we just sit there patiently until eventually vegetarian lasagna
I
comes
have
and
to
is
add
sitting there.
something. Shakti, the funniest thing is, I just heard this analogy recently. However, this is why most of us don't manifest our vegetarian lasagna, whatever that is, because somebody said, it's like, okay, you're sitting there. Shakti orders vegetarian lasagna and she's relaxing, she's enjoying wine, talking with friends. And then you're like, oh, nah, I don't know. Do I want cacio e pepe? And then you call the chef back and you're like, oh, chef, I really thought about it. I want cacio e pepe. What happened now? They're halfway through making your vegetarian lasagna. They have to go back and now start on cacio e pepe because you've just changed your mind mid-order. And then they start preparing the cacio e pepe. And then you're like, 15 minutes or gosh, no, I thought about it. I really don't want all the carbs. I want a salad instead. And that's life. That's why most of us don't fulfill in it. Where did you read that, Shakti? I just read that or heard that
I
somewhere.
can't
I love that
remember.
we're
I,
aligned.
I heard it so many years ago, it's all lost in the mists of time, but I've always thought it's a very instructive little story. And so
Stick with your
just
order is the point, though. Stay true to your
stick
order,
to your
because if
order.
you want vegetarian lasagna, stay with it and don't digress and get distracted.
Yeah. And something that's helped me is to use prayer a lot, prayer and daily meditation, to keep asking the divine to align, may I be aligned with
Mm.
my vision and purpose. And I think this is the committed part that Scott put into this discussion tonight. You have to have the commitment. It's going to be a long-term venture usually. It's not usually something that's going to happen overnight. So the daily spiritual practice I've found keeps us in the flow of going in the direction where we're going to find what we're looking for. So one of the things I've noticed about spiritual practice is that some people will do a whole lot of stuff and then they do nothing for a few weeks and then they sort of binge on spirituality again and then they do nothing for a while. But what I've noticed is that the patterning, the templating, or if you like, it's forming a yantra or some kind of pattern of what it is that is your vision. Somehow the daily prayer and meditation feeds that pattern. And if we don't do the daily practice, it seems to me that little bits drop out.
Mm.
You kind of end up with a messy pattern that it's no longer held in the divine mind through your connection with the divine. So it doesn't matter what religion, what tradition, what your practice is, as long as you're connecting to the divine. So it might be kirtan, it might be puja, it might be prayer, it might be meditation, reading scripture, whatever it is that lights you up and makes you feel connected. That's what I suggest as a daily practice to keep the energy in what you're trying to manifest.
Mm.
Yeah.
So
And another
beautiful.
Yeah, and another thing I've learned is I'm very interested in working with the great beings as well. So the angels, the archangels, the gods and goddesses. I particularly, with a name like Shakti Durga, which I received from a teacher in India. So with that kind of name, Durga plays a large part in my spirituality. So the goddess Durga, who helps us with strength and courage. And I actually think for us to lead a life of committed divine purpose, strength and courage are two of the attributes that we're going to need. And if we haven't needed them yet, just wait and you will. Because sooner or later, things will, require you to. And often it's the courage just to love, the courage to love yourself, the courage to be able to relate to others and to be able to have loving communications with other people. Because I've also found that when we're heading towards our committed life of divine purpose, that other people are involved in this tapestry of light that's being co-created by many people in different ways. So just like Jennifer, how you started Om Heals, and part of my mission is sharing with people tools and techniques of energy healing. Well, that's a beautiful partnership that we have there, because I'm helping you with your mission, which is setting up a beautiful system for matching healers and their clients. And then you're helping with giving our healers a platform to get out into the world. So, there's those kinds of synergies will happen with all kinds of different people. And I think we're meant to be part of a web of helpful, caring people. And so on that point, I would say that you're more likely to come into a committed life of divine purpose where you meet your objectives is if you have good relationship skills. And relationship skills is something that I think a lot of us didn't get in our growing up years, because our parents could only teach us what they knew. And even if you had lovely parents, which I was lucky enough to have, they only knew so much. And yet there's so much available around communication, around relationship skills, about opening your heart, even about exploring the energy field that a relationship has, which is one of the things we do with Ignite Your Spirit therapy. So I would suggest that learning more about relationships, moving from conflict to connection, having a look at what's in your energy field, unpacking what the blockages might be, because with good energy healing, you can get into the subconscious levels and clear out blockages where we don't believe in ourselves, where we don't feel good enough, and so on, or we feel that this would be impossible to create. This is too good. We couldn't get that to happen. So all of that can be unpacked with good relationship skills and energy healing. So that's a bit of a prescription from me about what I think it can take for us to get there. But patience for sure. And as you're doing your daily practice, to have absolute certainty that if you need 1,000,000 things to come to you for the fulfillment of a truly heart-centered, soul-inspired mission, then 1,000,000 things will come. And you will be in the flow, and it will be extraordinary. But don't let the setbacks prevent you from continuing to want vegetarian lasagna.
To have certainty, it's as you and I both know, I love Kabbalah, and they talk about having that certainty beyond logic. How do we connect to not knowing how? Like, it was so funny. Great example. I'm here in Mexico. God bless my husband. His passport went missing earlier. And we're like, okay, like literally missing. We checked the safe, we checked the bag, and we're like, you know what? We're just going to say this ancient prayer and we're going to have certainty beyond logic. Otherwise, he's not coming home with you to Portugal, that it's all going to work out. And sure enough, it wound up being somewhere that neither one of us foresaw it being, though it's really about connecting. And almost even as a brilliant woman I just interviewed, Dr. Cynthia Sue Larson, talks about in her book, Quantum Jumps, jump into the reality. Keep making those quantum jumps, because every decision we make is this decision tree that takes us one step closer towards where we're going to get. And guess what? Somebody showed me, my friend Alana, actually, who lives here in Mexico, showed me a great drawing of it. We think that our purpose looks like this, right? We think it's a straight line going directly this way. Not at all. Our purpose goes here and then there and then there and then there and then there. And eventually you're going to get there. And it's about, like Shakti said so beautifully, being with the breakdown. In Kabbalah, they call it the vessel. Let's say that you have a 100-watt light bulb and you want to plug it into 1,000 watts of energy. It's going to shatter the light bulb. So what do you have to do? You have to create a vessel or a bigger light bulb that will be able to harness the 1,000 watts of light. But first, you have to break the old vessel so that you can create a new one and add that beautiful kintsugi gold to repair anything to make it bigger and hold more light.
Mm. Yeah, I agree with you. And over time, not only can we make relationships with other people, we can make relationships with angelic beings, with the gods and goddesses, with Lord Jesus, with ascended masters, whatever your flavor is. And over time, that relationship gets very strong. And when the going gets tough, you'll find that you'll be supported and lifted. And I agree with some of the comments that have come into around how it's trust and faith. There's so many beautiful comments that have come in, all of which I agree with. And I thank you very much for the opportunity to share some ideas tonight.
I've popped in for a moment because I want to add a couple thoughts. One thing that I really respect about both of you, that I think is another piece of this, is you're both very generous. You're both very, very generous. You're generous with your time. You're generous with supporting ventures that aren't your thing necessarily, but that you recognize, like this, like the Awakening World. And so I just really want to bring that in, because being of service and being generous is a big part of living a life that's bigger than just our trip. And you both are really wonderful with that.
Thank you, Scott. Received. You too, my friend. You are a round of applause for Scott. Let's all send Scott some love. For over 2 years now, he's been doing this and spending every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night with you. I mean, that is generosity.
Amazing.
May you receive back a millionfold. And everyone out here who supports Scott, whether you're watching here in the room or online, may you too receive a millionfold of blessings. Thank you.
That's
thank you.
incredible.
I wasn't quite ready for that, so thank you.
But wow, what a beautiful mission you have, and what I was saying before about relationships, your mission is different to Jennifer's mission, which is different to my mission. And yet when we all sort of make friends with each other and we go, oh, well, I could help you with, and oh, you could help with that. And so it's just more than the sum of the parts for me. It's like finding your tribe and then being able to help people even more than you could before.
That's one of the great things that I've observed during these years that I've been doing these shows, is how generous the vast majority of our presenters are. And, I grew up in LA. I was in the entertainment industry at a very early age, which was extremely competitive and where there was a lot of competition and jealousy. And it's so beautiful to be with people where everybody's like, how can I help? Hey, what can I do? It's lovely. And along those lines, I do want to introduce and remind people about a wonderful organization that Shakti Durga, I guess, co-created or completely created, the Well-Being Initiative, Giving the Gift of Wellness. Shakti Durga, tell us about this beautiful offering.
Well, we began this project at the beginning of COVID when we realized so many people were struggling with depression, anxiety, burnout, stress, relationship problems. And so we decided that we already ran a charity in Australia and we also have one in the USA. And we decided to start a project, which is that through the WBI.org, we provide healing services to those who can't afford them. And so our highly trained therapists are paid by the charity, and then they give the healings to the people who need them. So we have largely people from Australia and the USA who are availing themselves of those healings. And it's just incredible to watch people who are so unwell and so debilitated from maybe depression or even COVID. We gave so many healings. COVID has a very strong energetic imprint. And a lot of the problems with COVID are because of what happens in the energy field. And it's black and it's heavy and it's sticky. And with good energy healing, you can get that out And so it's much less likely that a person will have serious complications or long COVID. So a lot of our healers have been doing a lot of work with people with COVID, also with depression, anxiety, and as I said before, burnout and stress and relationship issues. Yeah.
That's so generous. And I'm noticing also when I go to the website that you've got pre-recorded videos and audios as well. So
We
that's
do. Yeah. And a lot of those audios were actually created for the medical profession because when COVID first started, particularly on the East Coast of the USA, doctors and nurses and health workers were dying at a horrible rate of knots when the Delta variant was still around. And so we created, I don't know, we did for about 3 months daily meditations for health workers to support them. And then we chose the best of the meditations that were recorded live and we offer them for free on our website. But anybody who's in a job that's stressful could utilize those meditations. And where it says medical profession, you just substitute your profession. And so they're available for anybody who'd like them. Some of them were created by my partner in the WBI, who is a psychiatrist from New York State. And so some of them are my meditations and some of them are Dr. Kathy.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I see that your twin sister, Kim, is part of this organization.
Yes, that's right. When
yes.
I'm doing work for business and organizations, I use my birth name, Kim, because no one can say Shakti Durga. And it's scary, you know, so I just use the name Kim. Yes, she's my twin.
Yes, your
So,
twin sister. Well, she's doing a great job as well as Shakti Durga. Now let's talk about your kind of primary work. This, of course, is your main website.
yeah.
It's easy for everybody to remember. It's her name, shaktidurga.com. And our Global Peace Tribers definitely are good with Shakti Durga. And there's a lot here. You've got a lot going on, courses and the work that you're doing. But I know that you wanted to make sure that people know about this new energy healing certification that you're going to be doing.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. Well, we teach energy healing that also incorporates counseling skills and skills from positive psychology that are suitable for someone who's not a psychologist. But we've put together a whole lot of different parts to energy healing, including past life work, some shamanic type work, and it's working very well. We've been using it for over 20 years, but we've just changed the format through which we're teaching. It's back to what it was right at the beginning. And so we're inviting people to come on a journey with us. They can either do a 15-month certification or they can just do 10 weeks through which they learn energy healing fundamentals. And if you want to change your consciousness, work on your consciousness, work on your spirit, and energy healing will change your consciousness very rapidly because it helps you shift out of the mind where we're stuck in our kind of concrete habits of thought, and it helps you go beyond that to other possibilities. So in my life, I've found that energy healing has been one of the fastest catalysts for actual spiritual growth. So we want to share it with people.
Beautiful.
And I want to offer a testimonial, Scott. You actually did a session with Sada who trained with Shakti Durga, and we have many of the Shakti's healers on our own-heals.com platform. They are all extraordinary. I've had the pleasure and privilege and honor of working with Shakti herself, who is an extraordinary healer. Sada, Mahe, I mean, so many of them, Laura, Maitreya, who's joined us here before, they are exceptionally well trained, some of the best that you can find in the world. And I don't think we've ever had somebody have an unsatisfactory experience with one of Shakti's healers.
Yeah, Sada, who worked with me, was amazing. I mean, she's just tuned right in, knew exactly what was going on in my body. It was beautiful. And I felt much better after my time with her.
Yeah.
So going back to the link, this is starting on January 30th,
Yeah.
and people can enroll now. So again, you find it on Shakti Durga, go to Pathways, and then Energy Healing Certification. Anything else that you want for people to know about this?
Just that it's it's an opening special because we've changed the format to various numbers of certificates add together to the training, and so it's all half price at the moment, which is
Wow.
a big help for people, So
Well, that's great. All right, so everybody do go there. I put the link in. I'll put it in one more time. And one of the things I love about Shakti Durga, like Jennifer Hill and like myself, she's doing a lot. And there's more. There's the consciousness connection. So this is the other thing that I want people to know about. Tell us a little bit about this part of your life.
Well, the consciousness connection was born of my transition from being a lawyer to being a spiritual person and the tools that help me. So there's 10 seminars and it's like a spiritual path. It's tools for the spiritual path built on a multidimensional model, but it's non-sectarian. So it doesn't bring in anything around the spiritual practices of different traditions. It's just pure spirituality, and it's suitable for people who might be just sort of starting on a spiritual path, but they do want to know about spirituality. They do want to improve their relationships. They want to improve their wealth, their sense of purpose. And so the Path of Ease and Grace is what the seminars are called. And you can find them on theconsciousnessconnection.org. And we've got From Conflict to Connection coming up, starting at the end of January.
Okay.
And I
There
really
is Conflict to Connection, early bird discount, $90 off. That's Australian. And of course, this is all online, so everybody watching can participate. And wow, thank you for all that you are doing. Thank you, Shakti Durga. You are a blessing in our world.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, and send Shakti and Scott birthday blessings. Shakti's birthday is in 2 days, and she also travels back to Oz. So if we can all just send her a little bit of extra love for protection on the way home after her world tour and journey, and a miraculous, effortless birthday. And may all of your programs be so full that you'll need to put people into the next programs because you have a waiting list. So wishing that for you and all the wonderful healers with you, my friend.
Beautiful.
So grateful to know you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Durga. Thank you, Jennifer Hill. Great stuff. All right. Well, to integrate all of this, I think it's time for some music. And we are blessed, as always, to have Omushar with us. And so, brother, I'm turning it over to you.
Yay, Shakti Durga, thank you so much for your wisdom and the transmission and the energy healing I feel as a result of tuning into you. And my journey has been, my whole life to date has been a committed life of divine purpose. And it's kind of lonely sometimes. It really is. And I actually left my home in England and went and lived in New Zealand for a while. And in retrospect, I realized it was because I needed to live outside of the cloisters of the stiff upper lip. I needed to live a free life to continue what I'm doing now. But I feel now it's like you come to a level in your spiritual awakening when there's nothing actually shiny in the world anymore. And so it's like, how do you continue to walk on with your divine purpose when nothing outside is calling anymore at all, no matter how glorious it looks, except for a sunset, of course. So anyway, with that, I'm going to take us into this beautiful garden. So let's take a few deep breaths here, and hands on hearts perhaps. And let's see what happens there. Oh yeah, I seem to remember the time when we all were happy and my family, we all were together singing harmonies, my sisters and brothers. I often dream that we're gathered together and we all live in this beautiful garden by a river with my favorite flowers and the trees there, I know them by name. So if you'd like a true life, here it is, here it is, here it is. If you'd like a new life, here it is, here it is, here it is. We all are born of the great sun. We all are beloved golden ones. Do you remember? You're part of the story. Do you remember that you are the glory? So if you'd like a new life, here it is, here it is, here it is. If you'd like a true life, here it is, here it is, here it is.
I love that song, and I know our audience does too. Look at all those twinkles coming your way.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
It's always good. Sorry?
One of my favorite songs of yours.
Me too. And it's like when I play the song, I just get inside it and I drive it. And it's beautiful because I feel everything that conjured it up in the first place. And so it's brand new to me every time.
The word that comes to my mind is it's haunting. It has that kind of haunting melody. Maybe it's the tune on the keyboard, but it's like you really are inviting us to go inside and to remember.
It is, and all of the lyrics, from my perspective, they all come from divine source. They come from Divine Mother. They come from the heart, and yeah, it's just a communication. It's a transmission, and so grateful that we're receiving it here. Thank you.
Hey, everybody, a reminder that, of course, Omashar is with us for almost all of our shows, but you can also get his music on Bandcamp. If you go to omashar.bandcamp.com, that is the place to go to get all things Omashar, at least his music.
Right.
And let's really support him. It's
You can
important.
also come out and take me for dinner, or go onto Spotify.
Well, and you just had dinner with some of our friends. You had dinner with
There's a
Connie and Andrew and
Paul Sterling. I
Yeah.
know. What a beautiful, beautiful afternoon we had together. It was lovely.
And we're going to see Connie and Andrew in a little bit. They're with us tonight.
Namaste.
Well, I get to introduce one of my favorite regular luminaries on my shows, and I'm talking about Lynn Twist. And Lynn was originally going to be with us live. What happened was when I was in Sedona, I moderated a film that she was part of, the Gratitude film by Louis Schwartzberg. And we were talking off camera, and she said, "Hey, Scott, I've got a new book coming out. I'd love to have you feature it on The Awakening World." I said, "Sure." And so that book is really what inspired tonight's show. She was all booked to be a live guest. And she called me this afternoon and said, "Scott, please, I'm exhausted. I've got something that's come up I've got to do tonight. It would be a lot to try and do your show and this." It was a big event that she needed to go to. So I said, "No problem, let's do a pre-record." So you don't get Lynn live, but you're about to see a beautiful pre-record that I did with her just a couple of hours ago. And her message, I just love Lynn. For anybody who doesn't know who Lynn Twist is, she, for over 40 years, she's been a global visionary. She worked with Mother Teresa in Calcutta. She was very involved with the Hunger Project. She wrote a best-selling book that I know many of us have read called The Soul of Money. And you're about to hear the whole story of her new book, which was the whole inspiration for tonight. So with no further ado, I'm eager to turn it over to my video of Lynn Twist, recorded just a little while ago. So here it is. I'm going to pull it up this way. There we go. One of the people I've been most inspired by throughout my life has been Lynn Twist, especially the incredible work that she does with Pachamama Alliance, which, as you've all heard me say many times, is my favorite nonprofit organization. And when I learned that Lynn had written a new book, I got really excited, so much so that this entire show is dedicated to the idea of what does it mean to be living a committed life. So thank you so much, Lynn, for being the inspiration for tonight's show. And let's just start by asking you, what was your inspiration for this book?
Well, first of all, Scott, thank you so much for having me on once again. I love being on your program and just love your audience and your tribe. It's just wonderful. Well, for many, many years, I wrote The Soul of Money, or it came out in 2004. And I know this is a long time after that. Soul of Money, my other book, got republished many times and is still doing very well. And I just didn't think I could write another book because it's too hard for me. I'm a communicator. I love to communicate. I love to talk to you. I love to talk to this wonderful audience. But sitting alone with the computer and writing a book just sounded like, oh my God, I can't do that. And even though Soul of Money is a book that I wrote it with a collaborative writer. And so I had a wonderful experience that catalyzed this book, and I'll tell you that story. Jack Canfield, who's sold practically more books than the Bible, I think 500 million books, actually, almost 500 million books, the Chicken Soup for the Soul series and the Success series. He's a good friend of mine, and we were in a conference together, and I started my talk by telling a bunch of stories. His talk was just before mine, and then it was my talk, and then we had a lunch break, and Jack said to me after my talk, he said, "You have got to write a book with these stories. These are important stories. Everybody needs to hear these." And I said, "Well, I'd love to, but I'm not very good at writing books. That's your thing. You're really good at that. And you're really good at telling stories. But for me, I'm a proactivist. I'm working in the Amazon. I'm all over the world with doing empowerment of women. I'm doing Pachamama Alliance. I just can't get myself to do it." And he said, "Well, I'm going to help you. You come to my house in Santa Barbara, California, where he lives. I'll get 20 people that I love, that care about the kinds of stuff you're going to talk about in my living room. I'll get a caterer, and you and I will sit on a couple bar stools in the living room in front of our assembled group, and I will just invite you to tell story after story after story for 1, 2, 3 days, however long it takes to get it all out of you. We'll record it all on video and audio. I'll have my wonderful team that helps me with my books transcribe everything. And that will be the heart and soul of a new book." And I said, "Oh my God, you're kidding." "Yes, I'll do it."
That's
And he did that. And it was just awesome. And then after that, it sat a little bit, this transcripts in my office, like, oh my God, I've got to do that. Jack put all that effort and all those wonderful people, and I've got to do it. I'm going to do it tomorrow, next week, next month, eventually got next year. Until Mary Chase, who I want to acknowledge here, a wonderful friend of mine, said to me, "Lynn, I'll help you write it. I'll be your collaborator. You just sit with me for 2 or 3 hours a week. We'll take all this material, we'll make it into a wonderful book with distinctions and chapters, and it'll make sense. And you just don't worry about it. I'll do that. It'll be your words, but I'll book it. I'll make it into a book." And she did that. And so we have a book called Living a Committed Life. And it's really about living. The subtitle is Finding Freedom and Fulfillment in a Purpose Larger Than Yourself.
Yeah.
And that is what this book is about. That's what you're about. That's what a lot of the people listening are probably already about.
Mhm.
And so this is an affirmation of people who are really up to something, and an invitation for people who are not quite yet up to something, to really say it's all hands on deck at this special time in history. And living a committed life is not a burden, it's a freedom, because you can release yourself into your commitment. You can play full out. You can get that experience of fulfillment. And rather than worrying about the world, you become a warrior for the world. So that's the book.
Beautiful. So, question for people that are watching this who want to be doing something greater than themselves, who want to be contributing, but are feeling maybe stuck or paralyzed even, or in between, they're in purgatory, between, where they want to be and where they've been. What are some steps that people can take to move towards this?
Well, one step is to buy this book, because it's all in there. I talk about how to uncover or discover, which is uncover the longing of your soul, why you're here, why you were born now. Not any time in history. No, now at this epic, epic time when everybody, in my view, has a role to play, or they wouldn't be here. And, it's not sometimes hard to find that role, because we're so concerned about ourselves, our image, or if it's a brand, or, whether people like us or not. There's so much negative thinking that goes on in the human mind, that are you thin enough? Are you smart enough? Are you, competent enough to make a big commitment? And I really help people, I hope, that's my goal, get out of all that negative thinking and just really start to look through their life to see there's always a through line, even when you were a little child. I remember when I was little, in the backyard of my home in Evanston, Illinois, on the swing set, when my mother called me for lunch and I didn't want to eat everything, and she told me the kids were starving in Korea. I was 5 or 6. And I remember thinking, God, really? You mean their parents don't have food? She said, no, they don't have food. They have water. There's a huge crisis in Korea. There was at that time. So you got to finish your food. You got to realize how lucky you are to have this sandwich and potato chips and tomato soup. I think it was a cheese sandwich, tomato soup and potato chips, my favorite lunch. And so I finished it all and I said to her, I'm going to do something about that when I grow up. And then sure enough, the Hunger Project was born and I was in the right place at the right time and it just swept me off my feet. And that was the first big beyond my own life commitment I made. But not everybody might have that kind of a big commitment. But if you look through your life, you've always been concerned about something, 2 or 3 things that really, you can look at what breaks your heart. That's one clue. Or what opens your heart, or what makes your heart sing. These are clues that the universe gives you to tell you this is your dharma. This is why you're here. This is what you are meant to express. And I want to say another thing, Scott, this is in the book too, but I want to say to everybody here, it's not like you have to be all turned out and smart and with it to make a big commitment. We kind of think you have to, have a PhD or, I don't know, it's kind of the opposite. When you make a big commitment beyond your own life starring you, you get out of your own life starring you and all those concerns. Your commitment goes in the foreground. All that noise in your head goes in the background. You don't have time for it because you're making a difference. And then the commitment that you made shapes you into who you need to be to fulfill it. The commitment does that rather than you have to be all turned out to make the commitment. It's kind of the other way around. And it's so wonderful to see that happening when someone says, I'm just going to stop child abuse. I'm going to do something about it. I'm going to have a role in alleviating that horror for children, or I'm going to make sure everybody has access to natural beauty. I'm going to set up some sort of travel company, taking people to sacred sites, or I'm going to make sure every woman, all the voiceless women have a voice, and I'm going to start an organization, or I'm going to join this thing, or I'm going to join that thing. But I can feel it. That's mine to do. Maybe not only mine to do. It's too big for just me, but I'm going to join people who are doing it, or I'm going to bring people into my field who want to join me. And that's the joy of participation, collaboration, community, making a difference, and being out in the world instead of worrying about the world, being out there, one of the people making it happen.
Beautiful. Last night we had on the show Greg Braden talking about the wonderful example of the caterpillar turning into the butterfly and the imaginal cells. And I want to build on what he was saying and what you just said. We all are imaginal cells of the new world, of the awakening world, whatever we want to call it. And every cell has its own purpose. And some might be, you are living a pretty epic life, but it can be just as important to be doing something very simple, raising one child properly, and so I just really want to get your input about it. Doesn't have to be big and epic. It can be, as long as it's within your own divine knowing, like, yes, this is what I need to be doing right now.
Yeah, well, you answered your own question so beautifully. I say that we all have a role to play. It's not a big role or a small role. It's just your role. Yeah. And if you play it, your life will have a kind of meaning you've been dreaming of. So, for example, I talk in the book about a bus driver in Chicago that my husband, when he was in business school, he always would race to the bus stop to make sure he got, the 39 driven by Joe, because this wonderful, large, kind of oversized black man was just the most jolly, wonderful, welcoming, warm bus driver. And everybody who got on the bus, he because it was a certain time every day, just before 8 o'clock, that it stopped at this particular stop and then the next stop. Everybody wanted to be on Joe's bus because he would welcome people. And he said, on my bus, you're going to have a good day. You get on my bus, you're going to have a good day. That's my epic job in the world, to drive this bus in a way. If you spend 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 3 stops with me, 6 stops with me, you're going to have a good day because my energy is going to fill this bus with love. And Bill, welcome. Good morning. How's it going today? And if you're sad, sit next to me. I've got a vibration that's going to lift yours. This is a bus driver. This guy had a purpose larger than his own life, and he's a bus driver. And so you can be a waitress, you can be a kindergarten teacher, you can be a fireman, you can be a teacher, you can do anything. And you can, if the context is larger than your own life starring you, you're in your dharma, you're making a difference, you're contributing, you are making the world, you're shifting the trajectory of the human family towards the common good. That's what I mean. And everybody can do that. And I remember Mother Teresa said this wonderful thing. I don't know why this shows up. It's not so much the answer to your question, but I just want to say it.
Mm.
She said this incredible thing to me. I was lucky enough to work with her. She said, the unadulterated love of one person, Lynn, can nullify the hatred of millions.
Wow.
Let me say it again. The unadulterated love of one person can nullify the hatred of millions. So what I'm talking about is a context, a frame that is a commitment larger than your own life. It doesn't have to be end world hunger, save the Amazon rainforest, end child abuse. It can be have the most happy, high vibration, beautiful bus in Chicago, and ensure that every single day. It can be a waitress who, when you wait on their table, the experience of service and acceptance and affirmation and holding that table so that it's really, really well taken care of, and there's a pleasant air around it and an uplifting space. It can be something like that. It doesn't need to be a huge commitment, although many people have in their heart of hearts a huge commitment. And maybe a waitress who serves like that would say, I'm committed to transforming service in the hospitality industry so that it's rooted in love rather than some sort of exercise, that it has love in it, that's filled with love, and people can feel that. So that's what I mean. Anybody can do it, and everybody has it in them. And I believe everybody has a role to play, and that's what I mean. All hands on deck. This is epic time, epic historical time in history. Crises galore. Pick one or two or three and get engaged.
Lynn, I'm loving everything you're saying. And you know what I'm going to do after we play this video of you? I'm going to pull out and play one of our favorite musical artists, Johanna One Love Beekman, took the Beatles song, All You Need Is Love, and changed it to do everything with love.
Oh,
and as you've been talking, I'm remembering in that song, and she used this the same, do it all with love, but you know, and that is what you're saying with such beauty. So I'm going to play that. I'll even send you the recording. It's the musical version of what you just shared.
Yeah. Well, this is my love offering, and Scott, I'm so grateful that you made it possible for me to be on tonight, because I'm in a book launch, and so I'm super stretched. But this is my offering of love for everybody, and I hope people receive it that way. Those of you who buy it, those of you who get it out of the library, those of you who even just hear this message, it's my offering, and I stand for it, and I stand for the community of life.
Fantastic. And just a reminder, everybody, that, and I put it in the chat box, go to soulofmoney.org, soulofmoney.org, Lynn's famous best-selling book that so many of us have read. But there it is, right at the very top, the new book, and you can go right there and order. Is there an Audible version of it?
Yeah, sure. It's on Audible. There's a Kindle. It's everything.
Great. I see Van Jones, Marcy Shimoff, two of our favorite people, Jim Garrison. These are all of our friends.
Yeah, Van wrote the foreword, so he's in there, and his story is in there too, and the story of many, many wonderful people that you and I and many of us all know.
Oh, beautiful. Lynn, thank you so much for the book, for the time, and most of all, for being Lynn Twist. You are playing your role really, really well.
Thank you, Scott. Bless you all. Happy holidays too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Isn't she a delight? She speaks with such wisdom. I'm going to bring my co-host Jennifer on to hear. Jen, what stands out for you in this beautiful presentation from Lynn?
I was blown away, Scott. I'm going to go back and listen to it, and I want to write it down and meme what she said from Mother Teresa about the unadulterated love of one person can knock out the hate of millions. I mean, really, what else is there to do in the world? You know, you think that Yeah, the thing, you think you don't matter. And it was funny. I just heard this adage the other day that you think, one person or one small thing can't make a difference. Lock yourself in a dark room with a mosquito. I was like, that's hilarious, right? And I love that, you hear things 3 times. And now Lynn's saying this. I have heard for years about her book, but I've actually never had the honor of hearing her speak. And I actually write my miracles down every day, as you know. And so I was actually writing down what a privilege and an honor to get to be on a show with her, and yet to be able to have it be shown to you. Sometimes the universe just puts beautiful things in your space, and it's just saying, tune in, listen, there is a message for you here. And there's always a message and a lesson, even in the greatest hardships we all endure. It's just beautiful if we're willing to be with it. So grateful to be co-hosting this show with you, Scott, and to get to hear her incredible wisdom. My God, brilliant.
A big thank you to Dorina, who put in the exact quote: "The unadulterated love of one person can nullify the hatred of millions." And I'm going to read also, Sylvia put in something. I love the story about Joe, the bus driver.
Oh, Joe was amazing. That was so
Great
good.
example, right? And Sylvia talks about how just one person understanding, the look on his face of understanding about being arrested, and she can still remember that look. It's little things can make a big difference.
Yeah, it's just inspiring. It's so beautiful. And it's funny, it's a lesser known thing that I think we may have glossed over with the Joe story or the beautiful quote that Lynn shared from Mother Teresa, is the fact that if something is meant to happen, the world will come together to support you for it. From Jack Canfield and her other friend and all these beautiful souls. And the most beautiful lesson for me in all of that, honestly, Scott, is that she surrendered and allowed herself to receive. How many of us say no? That is a big lesson right there. How many of us have friends who say, let me offer you this, let me help with you. Oh, no, no, I got it. You are depriving people in the same way we began the episode by talking about the beautiful gift that giving is. An equally beautiful and magnificent gift is receiving. Think of how joyful you feel when you get to give somebody a beautiful gift, whether it's time, a compliment, something material, and you see it light up their face. And the gift that she allowed Jack and so many others to contribute that now has made manifest in a book. So my invitation would be, where are we not allowing ourselves to receive that would allow us to fulfill our purpose?
Thank you so much for pointing that out. Thank you. So everybody, remember, ask for support, ask for help, be ready to receive it. And as I promised, I was so inspired when I was hearing her tell, I want to play this little song. Some of you have heard before, because I've played it on The Awakening World. I actually commissioned Johanna, because I always had I love the Beatles, but they got it wrong. All you need is love is not correct. We need more than love. But what is true is do it all with love. And I mentioned it to Johanna. She said, I could turn that into a song. I commissioned her to do it. So in honor of Lynn, in honor of everybody listening, here we go with Johanna, and do it all with love.
Love, 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 love. Love is everything. Love is everything. Love, 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 love. Love, love, love. Love, 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 love. Love, love, love. Oh, oh, oh. Nothing you can do that can't be done. Nothing you can sing that can't be sung. Nothing you can say, but you can learn how to play the game. It's easy. Do everything with love. Do everything with love. Do everything with love. love. Love is everything. Nothing you can make that can't be made. Nothing you can save that can't be saved. Nothing you can do, but you can learn how to be you in time. It's easy. Yeah. Do everything with love. Do everything with love. Do everything with love. Love. Love is everything. Love is everything. Love is everything. Yeah. Love is everything. Love is everything.
Mm. Thank you, Johanna. It's fun to see some of our presenters that were popped on there. You know, it's interesting. In the 1 year since we did that, 2 of the people we saw that had been on this show have passed away. Gary Zukav's wife, Linda Francis, we saw a photo of her with Gary, and of course, our beloved Celestine Starr. So it's just interesting as a time capsule, like, wow, and in such a short period of time, we lose some of our beloveds that have been on these shows.
Let's maybe take a moment, Scott. I think the reason that's being presenced is that, you know, we're coming to the end of this year, and I think it's important that maybe we just take 1 minute and send love to all the people who have been lost, all the people that we know and people we don't know, and just the pain that people are going through. If we could just take 1 minute and all radiate a little love.
I'm going to go to gallery view. Maximum grace for all beings. Maximum grace for those of us who have lost beloveds. Maximum grace for our beloveds on the other side.
Amen, amen, amen. And so it is. And there's a Kabbalistic name for God I like to use called Hey Hey Ayin. Time that we find ourselves judging others. I've walked down the streets sometimes, busy streets, New York, Paris, London. It's so easy to get judgmental of someone honking or someone dropping something on the floor. And what if we could change all of that judgment to love? Hey Hey Ayin. I say that over and over in my mind.
Thank you for inviting us to take that moment, Jennifer. Thank you.
Thank you for inspiring it.
Well, speaking of inspiration, when we were putting the show together, we realized that Andrew and Connie were going to be with us, and Tatiana pointed out to us that she recently honored them. So it's kind of a perfect moment because Connie and Andrew are perfect. They're big members of the Global Peace Tribe. They were at our retreat that we just had in October. And Tatiana, tell us a little bit about your relationship to them and to the award that you provided to them. Oh, we're not hearing you. Still not hearing you. Where's Omashar? Omashar.
Yeah, I'll lip read and okay.
Still don't hear you. Well, during that 1 second, I'm going to go ahead and bring Connie and Andrew up then for a second. Now, Connie and Andrew they're doing something very risky. They've lived together for 19 years. They think they're ready to get married, and they've got it planned. So, you know, I don't know, 19 years is a long engagement. It's a long engagement, you two. No, seriously, we're really delighted. So while Tatiana pulls it together, tell us a little bit about your wedding plans.
Well, we're getting married on Christmas Eve day in Aspen, Colorado, where I birthed and raised my 3 children. And they'll all be there with their spouses and my granddaughter. And we're being married by a judge whom I've known for 40 years. And so it's
And
just
where,
exciting.
where are we getting?
In the John Denver Sanctuary. And it's just thrilling because 20 years ago, we met and came together. It was divinely orchestrated. Talk about living according to your divine plan. Well, Spirit brought us together and we got right to work. And within 5 years, we had a film that we'd produced on the origin and future of humanity. And it just realized both of our destiny paths, us coming together. And so it's just been a very productive 20 years. And now it's time. Andrew's turning 80 next year, and we're going to celebrate then this marriage for his 80th birthday. It's just high time, don't you think, Scott?
I think so. Absolutely. Absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much. And I think Tatiana is ready now.
Can you hear me?
Perfectly.
Yes.
Oh, nothing is scarier than the technology failing. Yeah, so first I just want to share a little bit about the global organization I'm a part of, which has honored Connie and Andrew. I work for an organization called the Visioneers International Network, and their aim is to bring together globally minded people from around the world who are engaged in some form of service to humanity, who are contributing in the ways that we've been talking about tonight to a cause bigger than themselves. And so there's a community building element of this global organization. And something else that we do is that we give out awards to exceptional projects and individuals whose contribution is just extraordinary. And obviously these 2 individuals, their lifetime is just a demonstration of outstanding, mind-blowing service. As I was exploring their work, I just couldn't even believe how much has been achieved, like in the realm of photography, books on consciousness, history, their work with indigenous peoples and bringing forward that wisdom and just the combined intelligence of these and their books. Yes. I think this is the most incredible demonstration of a power couple that I personally think I might have ever seen. So I heartily congratulate them on this marriage, which clearly has been already such a marriage of 2 souls. And it's just such a privilege and an honor to be able to honor them with these awards. They've received our most prestigious award, which is as a visionary leader. And I'd love to read to you the text for this award, if I could, which will give you an example of what this award means. So it says, progress in the evolution of the human condition is now and has always been dependent on the inspiration of an example of those among us who choose to lead. This award recognizes, honors, and applauds the extraordinary contribution of those leaders among us who step out of the norm, often in the face of adversity, to create, invent, and promote new ways of being and new solutions across the wide array of human activities. In this way, they add to humanity's reservoir of human goodness. Such visionary leaders are the best expression of human nobility, whose courage to persevere lights the way for others to follow. This award is a testament to their magnificent achievement. So,
And I believe your partner Maureen is here.
yeah, so today we have Maureen with us. She is the one who nominated these 2 great beings. She's a member of our core team here in Vancouver. And she's been, so I'd love for her to share why she decided to nominate them.
Well, it's actually, what can encapsulate it, it's a no-brainer. I've known Connie and Andrew all my soul, most recently connected in this life just earlier this year. And, Andrew and Connie are just the most beautiful, loving people that have such a wide range of giftedness that even in one single category, they would deserve this visionary leader Lifetime Achievement Award, and individually what they have created. And then when they bring their gifts together, I mean, it's just magnificent, catalyzing of love for the world. And so their talent is it just oozes. Their heart, their hearts are so expansive. And even with all of what we have traveled together with Connie and Andrew this last several months, even just after I nominated you, finding out even more about you, because the depth keeps expanding, if you will. And I'm just in constant awe and constant amazement of who each of you are. And I'm just so grateful to call you my dear friends. So congratulations on a well-deserved award, well-deserved recognition, because we're in our silos, we're even connected into communities and groups, and we don't think in those terms of being recognized. We just are always in that place of trust and giving and joyful creation, and you epitomize that, each of you and both of you together. So I'm delighted that you're actually getting married and expanding into the next level, always with who you are and what you do. And this most recent gallery opening of your Cameron Bailey, is it CameronBaileyGalleries.com? Is that what it is? You're muted. Okay.
Cameron Baxter
Cameron
Gallery.
Baxter, my middle.
Sorry, yes, Cameron Baxter, of course, pardon me. I'm just all verklempt. This is really exciting, and I'm just so grateful to know you. So thank you, and congratulations. Well deserved.
Mhm.
Beautiful. Well, welcome to the Awakening World and Global Peace Tribe, Maureen. Andrew and Connie, you are really truly pillars in our community. We love you. Congratulations. And looking forward to seeing what you do, Andrew, over the next 80 years. You're about halfway through.
And I want to say one quick thing about Maureen Edwardson, because she herself is a force of nature. She is one of the most extraordinary, she may be the most extraordinary healer I've ever met. And I say that from personal experience. I got this thing called COVID back in, I think it was September. Bang, gone. And on. We talk every couple times a month. And every time I experience a powerful physical healing, it's something remarkable. It's called in resonance technology, IRT. And remember that, because it's powerful, it's real. Yeah, Maureen, thank you so much.
Jennifer, I think you've had an experience that you were saying about Maureen's work.
Well, Maureen and I know each other actually from our Awake TV days, and she's just an extraordinary human being through and through. Heart of gold, great healer, great human being, and here to make a profound difference on the planet. Thank you, Maureen, for all your great work.
Well, thank you, Jennifer. That means a lot. Thank you so much, all of you.
What a great Global Peace Tribe we are all blessed to be a part of. And it's really so many of the people in the audience right now that I have the good fortune to know. Lori Grace, Dr. Josie Ann, are all of you are people that are living your divine purpose in beautiful ways. And perhaps we'll get a chance to hear from some of the people in the audience tonight. But I'm really excited to be sharing this next video from Tatiana. We watched it during the pre-show while we were getting ready, and it's amazing. And Tatiana, do you want to introduce it to us?
Sure. Yeah, so I've just recently released my newest single. It's called Voices, and it's a real anthemic song about the voices that are rising up around the world for change, many of which are on this call right now. I wrote this song actually shortly before Russia invaded Ukraine. I didn't write it for Ukraine, but it was interesting that I had written this song and then shortly after that war began. And I played one of the early renditions of this song here. Scott heard the very, very first incarnation of it. But this song really it came out of my work with the organization Home for Humanity, which works with refugees around the world. And I heard through my work with them, many stories that just touched my heart so deeply. And so that was one of the things that really inspired this song. The other was also receiving stories from soldiers, because I've traveled and I've met actually different soldiers around the world, and listening to them tell me some of their experience, some of their, feelings of regret and pain, made me want to create a complete picture of the prayer for peace that's actually being cracked open through many hearts right now. And so this video is something I created to accompany the song and to really just bring awareness to what's going on, and also to feel this collective chant, this anthem for peace that is rising around the world. So I hope you enjoy it.
All right, here we go. I'm pulling it up.
She tried to hide when the soldiers came, as the bombs fell like rain and the whole world changed. She holds her children tight, praying they will make it through the night. Will we see the morning light? Leave it all behind. One last look at their home. A refugee praying for peace with all her soul. So numb, he regrets the things he's done. He wanted to serve, he wanted to be brave, but there's a price he paid. Innocence died along the way. He never questioned, he just obeyed. He knows he's lost his way. A soldier praying for peace with all his soul.
Wow. I'm going to go to gallery view. Everybody just sending Tatiana your respect and your appreciation for that incredible accomplishment. And we've watched it. You know, if you go back, she sang it on guitar, and now adding all the choir, adding all that editing, adding those amazing images. What an extraordinary creation and an example of divine purpose in creating that, Tatiana.
Thank you, Scott. It's so amazing that I've shared this song actually in every one of its incarnations here. So it's really sweet to share this final product, the final vision of it completed. It's really special.
Well, may we all sometimes share the final product of war ending, the ending of war in our lifetime.
Absolutely.
May that be the final example, chapter of this. You know, it's so important for us to support our artists. I mean, look at the incredible work that Tatiana does. And for those of you that are regulars, I'm a big fan of Patreon. I was really happy that I got to be one of the first people to be.
The very first person.
And I love supporting Tatiana, Kristen Hoffman, and our other favorite artists through Patreon. So please, come on in at whatever level you can come in on. She's got actually 7 levels, from $3 a month to $150 a month. And this is important for our artists because then they know that they have every month a certain amount that's going to come in to support them. And so please, please, please. And she's very generous. She provides wonderful things. So let's definitely support Tatiana.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you so much.
Tatiana, it's always a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Well, speaking of support, I'm going to follow a page from the Jennifer Hill book of asking. It's that time of year in which I have decided to do another season of The Awakening World, and I'm excited about it. And it's really, really important that I get as many of you not only to register, but invite friends. So I've come up with a couple of ideas. What I've come up with is there's different levels for those of you, well, all of you who are in the Zoom room are regulars. You've all registered for the current season. For those of you watching on Facebook, if you register now for the new season, you'll get the links to all of the shows left in December, plus all of the shows we're going to do in January and February and March. We're going to make a couple of changes. We're going to move our Friday night show to Wednesday nights. And that way we'll have a midweek show and won't all be bunched up into the weekend. And also it'll allow Trish, one of our favorite co-hosts, to be co-hosting on a regular basis because she can do Wednesday nights. I'm planning on lots of wonderful shows with a lot of our regulars. Dr. Josie Ann, who's in the audience, we're going to do another show together. And so a couple of things. If you come in at a higher level, at the $75 level or more, then you can give gift subscriptions of The Awakening World to friends of yours. It's Christmas time. It's the holy days. It's Hanukkah. What a wonderful stocking stuffer or gift to give the gift of The Awakening World. So when you register at the higher level, just send me a message, an email, or put it in the registration form. There's a spot where you can do that and say, hey, I would love to invite this friend. And in fact, Roger and Bonnie they came in and I'm going to put the spotlight on them for a moment. There they are. Roger and Bonnie came in at a higher level, and they've already sent me the names of 3 friends of theirs that we're going to send gift subscriptions to. So thank you, Roger and Bonnie, for that. So we're going to have a great, great new season. As always, we're going to have a lot of new people and, of course, a lot of your favorites from before. And Kristen and Trish and Louisa Stowe will be co-hosting again. Reverend Deb Moldau is going to be co-hosting again. So please do join us. And the other thing is for anybody who comes in, again, at the $75 level or higher, will receive a free ticket to a very special New Year's Day concert. Kristen and Cornflower, who met through Saturday Night Alive through the Global Peace Tribe, have started doing concerts together, and they're beautiful concerts. I'm sure that many of you have attended some of the previous ones. They're going to do one on New Year's Day. What a beautiful way to start the new year with a sonic source activation, Cornflower and Kristen. Now, if you register for the new season at $75 or higher, you'll get a free ticket to the concert, as well as being able to provide a gift subscription. So these are ways that we want to kind of build our audience. It's really important to build our audience. It's winter time. People are home. They can now start coming to the shows again because they're not going to be going out to as many festivals or events or whatever it may be. So thank you for listening. It's not easy for me to ask. Last year I had Lynn Twist actually do it for us. And I might ask her to do it again because she does a better job than I do. But I love each and every one of you. I love our shows. After every show, I'm always really proud. I'm like, wow, you know, that was a doggone good show. And I really want to grow our audience. So I need your help. I need every one of you to do what you can to introduce people to the Global Peace Tribe. And I want to make a suggestion. A wonderful way to do that is to go to our YouTube channel. You know, we've got a wonderful YouTube channel. And you'll see that the very first playlist that shows up, excuse me, is called Dynamic Segments. And that's where you'll see some of what I've selected as favorite moments. Most of these are anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes. And pick one of these that you think your friends will relate to and send it to them as an example of the Global Peace Tribe. Or you can scroll down and pick an entire show that you really loved that you think your friend would really appreciate. So that's a good way. Maybe even have a home party and show your favorite segment or show one of the pre-shows. Tonight's show has been a wonderful show. And that way people get a real sense of who we are, what we're doing, and the tribe that we are creating. And yes, our first retreat in Sedona was a big success. So we are going to do more retreats, certainly at least one on the West Coast and one on the East Coast and probably another one in Sedona. So I've got a lot planned, but I need your help. I need your support to really help grow and build our audience. So thank you for listening. And, you know, part of Global Peace Tribe is that we create and we share our creations with each other. I want to acknowledge that Jay Mayer, who used to create those wisdom jewels, remember the wisdom jewels? He created a new video for us. I just got it today. So while you're all registering for the new season, you can also watch Jay's wonderful new video. So here it is, and it's a good one.
Mute.
Thank you, Jay Mayer. Thank you, Light Touch. And thank you, everybody, for watching. And I'm going to bring on my co-pilot, Jennifer, who's got something wonderful to share with us.
Thanks so much, Scott. Really appreciate you. So very grateful that up next we are going to be having an incredible thought leader, Dr. Ara Supaya, who I had the privilege and honor of getting to meet at Deepak. Deepak had a private retreat in Dubai a couple of weeks ago. And just he's an extraordinary human being. And I was actually with Dr. Ara when Scott talked to me about joining him for the show. And I said, oh, I have the perfect guest for us, who the audience probably is not aware of. And just really brilliant gentleman. So look forward to sharing his purpose with you, which we pre-recorded, as he too had another engagement this evening and is sending you all his love.
All right.
Hi, friends. So happy you're here with us tonight for another Awakening World show. I am here with an extraordinary doctor who I had the privilege and honor of meeting at Deepak Chopra's longevity retreat in Dubai a few weeks ago, Dr. Ara Supaya. Dr. Ara, you are amazing, my friend. The moment that we met and I heard you speaking, I think the whole audience, there were about 40 of us in Dubai with you, we were just enraptured with everything that you were talking about during that retreat.
Oh, goodness. Thank you. Thank you for that's a huge compliment. Most people don't listen to anything I say.
Oh,
So-
no, it's true. I think every one of us, when you're at these retreats for 3 or 4 days, people
Yeah.
are always kind of popping in and out and they're half listening. And I just remember sitting there wrapped with attention and not wanting to get up and get water or pee just because we wanted
Oh.
to find out what it was that you had to say. You, my friend, let me read a little bit about your bio just so we get a sense of who you are. You are an expert in one of the most trusted medical pioneers in the profession of sports and the founder of the Sports Medicine Institute, based on decades of groundbreaking clinical work and research addressing one question: how do we reduce inflammation in professional athletes? And I think that's why Deepak had brought you over to the retreat, because you spent so much time, Dr. Ara, sharing with us about how we can live our best lives. And it shouldn't just be for athletes, it's kind of for all of us, right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah. It's actually Deepak is the one who said, it's peak performance for the athlete and peak living for all the rest of us, and that's why when we met, we spoke, Punacha introduced me to him. He knew of me, but then I got really close to him and he saw firsthand, like my work, the theories I'd come up with and how I approach my athlete. Not just, I don't do the typical sports medicine, which is to address an injury. I try to see around the corners, to quote Steve Jobs, and predict an injury, predict the likelihood of an injury, right? By understanding the athlete as a whole. And so when he saw my approach, which blended in, I'm trained in allopathic medicine, but also I'm trained in acupuncture, Ayurveda, and put a lot of those things together, functional medicine. And so I saw the athlete as a whole, which is why Deepak was very interested in my work. And then, lo and behold, I was there speaking at a couple of his events.
Yeah, so Dr. Ara, today is, we're focusing on this idea of purpose, and it's so fascinating, right? How we all have these beautiful purposes that kind of emerge in our life. Did you know that this is what you wanted to be when you were a little boy? Did you say, I want to be a sports medicine doctor?
No,
And pioneer.
Jen, like when I speak to my medical students or when students rotate with me in the ER, they find out what I do and they go, how did you end up with this career? Honestly, this wasn't planned. This was completely a coincidence. When I was 2 years old, I wanted to be an astronaut.
Oh.
Because I saw my dad, and he was like, we watched the moon landing on TV, was re-aired, and he was so enamored by it, and I'd never seen anything have an effect on my dad like that. And so we'd walk at night, and he would say to me, "Who went to the moon?" And I'd be like, "Neil Armstrong." And I was like, "Oh my God, I want to be Neil Armstrong." Then, as I grew up older, I started playing sports, and I was very, very good at tennis, and I wanted to be a professional tennis player. And that was all I wanted to do. I wanted to be like the first Boris Becker of Malaysia and go to Wimbledon. And then I got a scholarship to go to study medicine, and everyone said, you can't make it as a tennis player. You're too short. You need to go to medical school. So I was like, okay, so off I go to medical school. In medical school, in my second year of anatomy, I dissected the heart, the human heart, and actually held the human heart in my hand. And I was like, this is the craziest thing ever. And I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to be a cardiac surgeon. You know, I had a very strong affiliation, connection with the human heart, not with the lungs, not with the brain, not with the gut, not with the limbs, not with the bones, just the heart, like stopped me. And so I was like, okay, I'll be a cardiac surgeon. So I went through medical school, got through medical school, did my surgical rotation, did ER as part of my rotation then, and never contemplated being an ER physician ever, because I was like, did the job as part of like 6 months. And I was thinking I remember sitting during the orientation the first day, and it was all night schedules and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, this is going to be hell. And I thought, you know what, I'll just use this 6 months to study for my exams, for my boards, and just over and done with, you know. Ended up loving the emergency room, just loving. I didn't know that I had this side to me that really loved the fact that I could deal with anything that walked through the door. 1 hour old to 101-year-old, male, female, transgender, didn't matter. Young, short, old, doesn't matter. If you walk through that room, that door with a problem, I was equipped to train you. And that fascinated me, and I took a liking to it. Like, it was very energizing work in the ER for me. But I still carried on doing surgery, did training in heart, became board certified in surgery, did my training in cardiac surgery, and realized I didn't enjoy it. You know, and I was like, I loved being in the ER more. So then I retrained in the ER, and during that time, I met a young kid who had sprained his ankle, and he asked me, you know, how quickly can I play tennis again? And he was a very good tennis player, and I had no idea what to say to him. So I gave him this bogus answer of like, you know, 4 to 6 weeks, and it'll be fine. Like, that's a medical lingo. If you're not sure what to do, just say 4 to 6 weeks. Because most things will either get better or they'll get worse. And so I said that and walked off, but it didn't sit well with me, because I was like, how come I don't know how to give that guy an answer, you know? And so then I trained in sports medicine, because my boss was like, if it bothers you that much, go study sports medicine. And I did sports medicine. At this point, I stopped playing tennis, started playing golf, and then ended up exploring back pain in golfers, started working with the European Tour professional golf circuit, and then, you know, started traveling around the European Tour. And then 2006, I always wanted to come to America, to Orlando. I finally got a spot, so I had to redo my residency in America. So I came back here, redid my residency. Then 2009, I moved to Orlando. And all the golfers, the big names, the up-and-coming names in Europe, moved over to Orlando. I mean, just complete coincidence. And they were right.
Coincidence, though, Ara. I want to pause and say that wasn't really a coincidence, or was the universe synchronistic?
No, it was yes. It's a complete. It was all planned, and like, you know, I come to realize that the more you look for it, the more that, you know, every day there's tons of these things that happen. That's the norm. The norm is these things that we call miracles and coincidence. They are the norm. Like, you're filled with it. And so I moved here. All those guys came here and they needed a doctor. I became the doctor, and then I started working on the American tour, and my business, the whole side of my profession grew. And honestly, I am where I am today because of my athletes. They gave me problems to solve, which allopathic medicine couldn't really answer. So I had to go and look at other places. So for instance, I can't use a lot of the medication either because of side effects or it's bad, right? So I thought I came across a form of acupuncture that would help them. And then I learned the acupuncture, Chinese medicine, you could use it for jet lag. And then I learned about all the meridian points. And then I compared it to Ayurveda, you know, and then I went back to functional medicine. And so it weaved, and then, you know, then the Golf Channel found out about me, that I did some things with the Golf Channel, NBC, and I had my own show there. And I mean, it's just crazy. It's absolutely not. Now I work with tennis players, baseball. It's you cannot plan this. All I tell my students is you just have to go with what feels right. And if something comes up and you're not sure, don't say no, just explore it.
Oh,
Just go down that path.
I got chills, Ara. That is so powerful. So what you're saying really is just, even if you don't know, even if it feels uncomfortable, like for you in the ER thing, you're like, this is a terrible idea. The last
Yeah.
thing I want to do.
Yeah.
I love this so much, Ara. I don't know about any of you, but for me, I've noticed the same thing. The thing that you say, I will never, I will
Yeah.
forever, ... And then the universe is like, oh yeah, try this. And then
Yeah.
when you don't resist it, some of us will keep saying, I will
Right.
never, ever, ever for decades. And then it's only well into our 50s, 60s, 70s that we're like, wonder what would happen if I did, or if I had tried that. And I think
Yeah.
there is something about purpose that is like
Yeah.
this wave that carries you. And it's like, there might be bumps, you might fall off the surfboard and have to get back on. Though if you can ride the wave in the direction if it's going, sometimes it might be scary, then you can really just have the ride of your life, and that is purpose.
Yeah, and I love that analogy of the wave, because when you're riding the wave, you have to allow the wave to carry you.
Oh, so beautiful.
You know what I mean? What
Chills.
most of us do when we start riding the wave, and I've done this for best part of my whole life, and I will forever fight this because it's a human condition. Because we want to be doing something, we want to control the event. But the best surfers in the world ride the wave by riding the wave. The wave takes them. They just ride it, right? Like if you're sitting on a horse, the horse takes you somewhere, right? You don't try to ride the horse. You don't try to ride the wave. Just like the wave will do all the work for you, but if you resist it, it'll become very difficult. So I've come to learn, like, I have a very simple rule. If I hear something abstract and I'm like, not really for me, and then I hear it 2 more times,
Yes.
it's for me. If I hear something 3 times, it may be the most ridiculous suggestion ever. And it may be something as trivial as going to a restaurant to eat, or reading an article or something. But if someone out there is telling me 3 times to look at this, then I have to look at it. And I really fight to try to control anything. I just ride the wave. So I go in it, and wherever it takes me is where I go. That's what, I think that's honestly is where why I've ended up here. Like I had no idea I was going to be with Deepak in middle of the desert in Dubai. Like, I mean, if you said that to me 20 years ago, I'd be like, you are out of your mind. And yet it was the most amazing experience.
Yeah.
I got to be there, celebrated my birthday with you guys. My wife was there. It was just phenomenal. You cannot make this up. If you tried, you couldn't create this. So this is because the wave took me.
Yeah.
And I just let the wave take me.
That's the beautiful thing, Ara, is I don't know if you remember that Jim Carrey movie, like Yes or Say Yes. There was this great Jim Carrey movie.
I don't know.
Well, it's a funny movie because in the movie, Jim Carrey has to say yes to anything that's offered to him. So it doesn't matter how obscure, whether it's eating a food, doing a job, going somewhere, but you play the yes game. And it's it's like, what if we all played the yes game? And it's in life, we're always no butting, no, but I can't, no, but that's not what I really want. And when we ride the wave, to your point, Ara, it's just like you just get to watch. You get to watch life unfold instead of, there's like a 20-foot wave coming for you, and you're like, no, that's not what I want. I'm going to try and go up and over the wave, and you're like,
no. That's exactly, because you're doing something to go against the wave. It's going to be brutal. But if you let the wave take you and trust that it'll take you somewhere you're meant to go, you'll be fine.
You are a genius, my friend.
No,
aside from
honestly.
being a sports medicine and a doctor genius, you're a spiritual human being.
Thank you.
Genius.
I don't know about genius.
I think your beautiful wife and Deepak would definitely concur. You are a genius, my friend. I'm just so happy to know you and to be able to have you share your wisdom with us today. And I think that is what it's about. Our purpose is this amorphous thing that is always kind of calling and pulling us and pushing us, and just ride the wave. I think that's really the message, right, Dr. Ara? Ride the wave.
Yeah,
of purpose.
honestly, just, I think a lot of people have heard that Bruce Lee saying, be like water.
Yeah.
Water just flows. It doesn't fight. If there's a crevice, it goes in the crevice. If it needs to go over a rock, it goes over a rock. It doesn't fight anything, and it's so powerful. So ride the wave, like you said it, not me. That's why you're the genius. That's why I
You
love.
took it. You
I'm
took
so glad I met you. Your whole team was just awesome.
Oh, well, big hugs, my friend. And I want to take a moment and share your website with all of our viewers out there who are watching, so that way people can see the incredible work that you're doing. Let me just go ahead and pull up your website to share it here with everyone. I'm going to share screen now. Okay, so we have here, this is Dr. Ara's website, and it's Dr. Ara Suppiah, Suppiah, and Discover Functional Sports Medicine Masterclass that it looks like people can join you for, right, Dr. Ara?
Yeah, it's more for you. There's a PDF that comes with that when you go in there, to give you an idea what it is. And if you really want to deep dive into my approach of sports medicine, which is not for everybody, but it's there. It's there. This was created by Punacha, by the way, just so you know.
Oh, we love Punacha.
Yes, our mutual friend.
Punacha
Yes.
works closely with Deepak, and he's a
Yeah.
brilliant man, CEO,
Yeah.
I believe, of the Chopra Foundation. So
Yeah, in fact, that photograph right there is when I was doing his podcast. So he took a photo, and when he created the website for me, he put it there.
we love it. And that's the thing, is just like how life always brings us the right people. You know what I say out loud every day, Dr. R, that I love is I literally say, universe, please remove anything or anyone who is not meant to be in my life, and give me the wisdom to know it's happening for my good. And when you do that, it's like you just meet the most just like meeting your beautiful wife, Sarah, and Punacha and Deepak. Life is always just knocking at your door, waiting to give you these gifts. But if we're looking to the left, or if we're trying to paddle up and over the wave,
You won't see it.
Yeah, you're missing it.
You won't, because you're trying to control the thing instead of letting it happen.
Yeah, so beautiful, Dr. R. Well, thank you. Happy holidays.
Yes, honey. Thank you so much for having me. It's a privilege. Honestly, it's a privilege knowing you, to be honest.
You too, my friend. Thank you.
Okay.
What a wonderful man.
Don't you just love him? He's
yeah. And your repartee with each other was also really beautiful. I mean, clearly there's a lot of mutual respect there, Jennifer.
Yeah, thank you, my friend. I mean, it's so incredible how our lives and our stories come to be. I mean, when we surrender and we let go, and even when we can't fathom how we're going to get from point A to point B. I remember in March of 2019, I had just sold my first company about a year ago. And I was playing with the idea of what will be next for me? What will I do? And I got introduced to a dream coach. There was a famous actor who used to live in our building in New York named Michael K. Williams. And one night we're all out to dinner and he says, I have this dream coach. She helps all the actors and actresses in LA, helps us all divine our next roles. And I'm like, oh, that sounds kind of cool. I'm wondering what I'm going to do after I'm done here. And he says, I'll introduce you. And God bless Goldie. I love her. We have to have her on the show one day, because my God, the stories she could tell you about people in their dreams. And she says, baby, I love you. I meet her in LA. I don't know if I ever shared this with you, Scott. And she puts me in a dream. And the way it works is right before you go to bed, you do these beautiful rituals, you light a candle, and then you write a note to your higher self. Dear higher self, please show me with symbols and images and signs in my dream, what is my blah, blah, blah. She puts you in a variety of dreams. And that night, Scott, I remember I saw a male newscaster. Why it was male, I don't know, but like a very prim, proper male newscaster and many other things. And I'm recalling this with Goldie the next morning. And she says, oh, darling, you're going to be on TV. And I said, Goldie, no, I can't. I have a 5-year contract with the company I just sold. Even if I wanted to, it's an impossibility, like completely impossible and improbable. And she said, no, my love, give it 6 months. 6 months to the day exactly after that, November 1st of 2019, I was able to leave my old company, and they're better off with my executive vice president, and move into a consulting role in a way that was miraculous and worked for everyone. I was offered a TV hosting gig on Awake TV, and I was offered the same day an opportunity to co-moderate a panel with Deepak Chopra, which is how we became friends, and my original favorite professor from college, Don Hoffman. And then I had the gusto to ask Deepak to join me for a TV show on, it was actually New Year's Eve of December 2019. And when I heard back, they're like, oh, of course, Deepak will meet you in studio, and this is the sort of car he wants. And I was like, I didn't know what was happening, but it was impossible. Like literally getting from point A to point B was a complete illogical impossibility had I not just rode the wave.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that the wave that has been writing that Jennifer's been writing is to a really wonderful organization called Om Heals. I have had the good fortune to be matched, as she talked a little bit earlier. And it's a really wonderful vision because Jennifer and her team matches practitioners with the clients. And it's a beautiful, beautiful program. And we all need healing, emotional, spiritual, physical. It's a kind of an all-purpose service that you provide. So, Jennifer, what do you want people to know about Om Heals?
Oh, thank you, Scott. Well, thank you for being such a great proponent of it and for trusting us to match you with Sada. We have about probably 8 or 9 healers. Actually, Shakti is even one of the healers on the platform. So you go through, you can click Get Matched. And it's been an extraordinary journey. Being a cosmic connector has always been one of my gifts. I love bringing people together. And so we created a mathematical formula, an algorithm. And what we discovered that blew our minds, we really didn't know this kind of when we set off, but we had a theory, is that if you exceed 3 to 5% variability in any of the 4 areas that we're measuring, that you will accidentally wind up not being able to receive the healing from the person. Anything 7 to 10% variability or higher is actually intolerable. Of the 100+ sessions that have been done, 10 people really hated it. It was really funny. They actually hated the sessions. This is before we knew the exact numbers. And when we went back, we reverse proved the algorithm. Every one of those 10 people who had a bad experience, it was 10 to 20% variability in one or more of the categories. And so it's been working so well, we're actually coming up with a B2B side of this that'll be available soon. And for any of you interested in getting matched, we've never offered this coupon before, but for the Awakening World listeners, you can use the code. I just created it for you today, 25NEW, so 25NEW. And when you get your matches, or you can just go online and see who you like, some people intuitively, it's mind-blowing. Many of you actually did this when we were on in February. I had some of you go on and say, hey, Jen, I want to do a session with XYZ person, and then go back after and answer the matching questions. And your intuition was actually spot on with who you match with. So that's kind of cool. It's the algorithm is really meant to encapsulate that intuitive capacity that we all have to know who's good for us. So
Beautiful. Well, I'm going to pop that into the chat box. And I'm going to bring on Dr. Josie Ann. She's, of course, been on the show a few times. She's one of our favorite contributors and teachers. And she is still working with someone that she met through Shakti Durga. So welcome, Dr. Josie Ann, back to the Awakening World, coming to us from Florida.
Yes, thank you, Scott, and thank you, Jennifer, because it's actually thanks to you, Scott, and Jennifer that I was in contact with Shakti Durga. I was a match with her, and I'm still working with her. She's been amazing, and I work with one of her associates, Victoria, and talk about life purpose. When things are meant to be, they just come naturally. And with Shakti, there was such a resonance when I first started with her. And I think her daughter was writing about compassion. And I said, I just wrote a book on compassionate love. And here you go. It was a match both ways. So we never know how not only we are being healed, but we are actually helping the healer also in a way. So it was wonderful. It was such a blessing to match with Shakti Durga and Victoria afterwards. So talk about the purpose. For me, it was putting me back on track on that path of light. When I met Shakti Durga, and I always heard, Shakti, and then discovering those mudras and mantras, and as such a high dimension of pure love, just pure love. So I'm so grateful to you, Scott and Jennifer. It's been I cannot tell you, it's been so I went from experiencing this dark night of the soul last year, at the end of last year, and then meeting you guys and having a total different year and a different outcome, just because I just went with the flow. So like Dr. Kara was saying, just going, not fighting, just you don't have to ride the wave. The wave will ride you in a way and bring you whatever you need for your purpose. So I never really looked for my purpose. And if we want to go back to the purpose theme, I actually, when I was writing my dissertation, I just knew I was going to write something about couples. And then they were forcing me to write about something I didn't want, and I was against it. And then out of it, actually, out of that resistance, when I let it go, then the purpose came. Then I understood why, I was fighting it and what it was all about. And I didn't know before, and the way it came, it was for compassionate love, and how, couples who actually suffer the most, we have so much to learn from them. And it just came through just the fighting with other people that I got that. So you never, don't dismiss any fight, any pain, any suffering. That's all I can say. It's all for a greater purpose. If it makes sense.
That. I love that so much, Dr. Josiane. And it was so funny that you say never dismiss any fight, because God bless, you got to love families, right? It's the
Yes.
families. And I love my sister so much. I so admire her. About 6 years ago, she was homeless, and it was heartbreaking. Like our whole family was crushed. She was going through mental illness. And so because of that, now we're so proud of her. She leads Narcotics Anonymous meetings every week. And one day, my sister and I are on a call, and it started off as a fight. I love healers, and one of her kids was sick, and I was like, "Oh, Erica, remember I gifted you a session with a healer?" And she's like, "Jenny, can't you just listen to me and not try to fix me or the kids?" So it all starts like this, and then she says, "You know what? I realized something I bet you'd get a kick out of. Part of my Narcotics Anonymous, I have to ask the people in my life, what are the attributes I need to work on? And what are a couple of good things?" So it's funny, it kind of started off a little bit tense. And she says this, and I said, Erica, of course, I'm happy to do that. And I'm not Narcotics Anonymous, but please send me the same. I would love for you to send me my list. And you have to love this, because this was one of the most beautiful catalytic events I had. My sister sent me her list of things that she loved about me. And her number one thing was, I love your joy for life. Yet, this was so interesting, Dr. Josiane. Her number one thing on the list of things that she thought that I needed to work on is she said, I don't believe you can really be that happy all the time. And it was so interesting, right? And I wanted to look into it. So I called my mom and I said, Mom, did Erica tell you about the list? And she said, yeah. And I said, I can't reconcile these two. She says she loves my joy de vivre, and yet she says she doesn't believe I'm that happy. And my mom blew my mind. You know what she said?
No.
Jenny, when you were 2 years old, your grandfather, and my grandfather was my best friend and my hero, God rest his soul. And when I was 2 years old, he didn't allow you to feel emotion. So you had skinned your knee, and tears are streaming down your face and your face is all crunched up and you're looking up at your grandpa and saying, "Don't worry, Grandpa, I happy, I promise." And had she not said that, I say this because this is all tied into our purpose. And had my sister not, had we not had that little tiff, and then she says this, then sends me this list that at first she says, "You're defensive." And I'm like, "I'm not defensive. What is she talking about? I'm never defensive." And I'm sitting there, I'm like, "Oh crap, I'm defensive." But you gotta love it. It's just so beautiful how life is always working out. And if we can drop our defenses and surrender and allow, even like you, Dr. Josiane, when we are in that dark night of the soul, it's those moments where you just allow yourself to feel the sadness, feel the anger, feel the rage, and to feel, even to go feeling anger or rage is a step above apathy or shame or guilt. So
Totally.
feel the experience, feel the myriad, ride the wave, and just trust that everything is always working out for our highest and best good, even if we can't see it in the moment.
Definitely. Oh, this is beautiful. This is so true. And it's just to remember that we have a tendency to dismiss it and to forget it quickly, because we want only the good thing, but the other stuff is so yummy too, you know.
Play with that. I encourage other people, go ask your siblings, just don't fight with them over Christmas about it. But it was so amazing. And it brought my sister and I closer together. So, you know, it's all going to lead us closer to our purpose and our divine essence within all of us.
Definitely. This is beautiful. And thank you. I'm so honored to be able to tell you in person, Jenny, that you were such a catalyst for me to find Shakti Yoga. Oh, much love. I'm sending much love to you. I still have your emails and I'm like, oh, this is such an amazing. And Scott, okay, you're in my heart forever.
Oh, that's amazing. So much love to both of you.
And Dr. Josiane and I are going to put together a show probably in February. She, of course, is the author of Compassionate Love, and I've put your bio into the chat box for people. She's a brilliant coach, therapist, teacher, and a wonderful human being. So thank you for dropping in with us, Dr. Josiane.
Thank you, Scott. Bye, Jenny.
Well, tonight was one of those nights where several of the people we had scheduled, all of a sudden I got the phone call, "Scott, I can't be there." And that included the musical artists Honey of the Heart. But then that was great because then I really wanted to have Tatiana on the show, and I reached out to her and she was available. So we got to have Tatiana. But I am going to play a video of Honey of the Heart. They, of course, have been on the show live. It's the first time we've played a video of them. But they've been on with us a few times and they're wonderful. And for all of our friends in the Bay Area, they're going to be doing a show next Friday night. They're going to be in Novato at 7 o'clock next Friday night. I'll put up the information about it that's December 16th. So anybody in the Bay Area, go see Honey of the Heart. You are allowed to miss the Awakening World that night. I've gone and I've seen them live in Nevada City. They're fabulous. So anyway, here are our friends, Honey of the Heart. I love these two. They're a beautiful couple, by the way, with a 5-year-old daughter. But she's not in this particular video, I don't think. Here we go.
Long
waters of the sea, saturated, permeated, sensation pours through me. Hit the surface, jump was worth it. Single through to my feet, like flying, hearts starting to my burdens I relieve.
Oh, ride, the tide, all you want is flow, don't you? Live with all the passion you desire to bloom in lush and pride and fire. Soul, going home in the sky of life, take the choice and right. Find the prize in life without the fight. The time to get it right. Oh, yeah. Don't think it's over. Something's just begun. Go now. Come on,
Wow. I mean, they're just so amazing. That's Justin and Marin, our friends from Honey of the Heart, giving you a little flamenco. You know, you're from Portugal, close to Spain, little flamenco.
It was incredible. I love that their last line was "catch the wave." What a beautiful.
Isn't that something
that
with
we
what
had
you and
no-
Dr. R just talked about?
Yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, life is always working out synchronistically for us. And I love writing down those little moments of synchronicity. So that way we see more of them in our lives. And the music was just magical. Wow.
Well, a reminder for all of our Bay Area friends, definitely next Friday night, they're playing with another couple, and they're going to be at Hop Monk, which is in Novato. Doors open at 7, show starts at 8, and it's going to be a great show. So I want to encourage everybody to go to that. If you're not watching The Awakening World, of course. Even Tatiana said, wow, that was amazing. And Tatiana knows what she's talking about. Well, Jennifer, we're wrapping up. What a wonderful show. I love co-hosting with you. You're just a wonderful, wonderful co-host. And I'm really grateful for any time we get to do a show together.
The honor and the privilege is all mine, Scott, to get to be in the listening of this incredible audience that we have here, wherever, whether they're with us in the Zoom room or watching out on one of the Facebook channels or YouTube. I feel like I'm at my best. I will always remember the very first time I got to do a Saturday Night Live show with you. I think Gary Malkin was there and a few others a couple of years ago. And I just remember being in the presence of this energy, and it was 4 a.m. It was one of those times where I think I was in London, and just feeling revitalized. I felt like I could have just jumped right into my day, because when I got on, you saw me, Scott. It's only 2 hours later than normal for me. But I had a little tea and a little pick-me-up, and I feel so energized by this incredible audience. And I'm so, so deeply grateful to get to be a part of this and to be on this journey with you, my friends. So wishing you and the audience just such a happy holiday season, and grateful to have been with you.
Absolutely. Well, we'll do it again, Jennifer. Let's do another one next quarter. And, you know, Gary just co-hosted for the first time. He did your role of co-hosting with me a couple of weeks ago, a show on grief. And he brought in some beautiful people, a man named Ken Druck, who's written several books about grief literacy, the intelligence of grief. And a woman named Kim Rosen, who did the most amazing readings of poetry. And then I brought in my friend Michael Tamura, who's had near-death experiences and speaks very beautifully about death. So it's really fun watching how you and Om Heals grows, how Gary says, Scott, can I be a co-host? It's like, of course, Gary. You know, and that's the thing. We all come together. Dr. Josie Ann started as a viewer, and now is somebody who collaborates with me. And, you know, I look around at our audience. There's, you know, the mystic Wild Abbot, Jerry. I'm going to embarrass some of you. I'm going to bring some of you on. So just want to know, there he is, the Wild Abbot of the Mystic Monastery, Jerry Anderson. There's Dr. Josie Ann, who we talked to a little bit earlier. Karen Eisenberg, she is always dancing and moving and running energy. There's Frode coming from Norway. I love that we have someone from Norway with us. Sam Sparrow. Sam was at our retreat in October. Sam, I want to say I love the lights that you've set up outside of Lori's. I went out there tonight. They're gorgeous. They're beautiful. Christy Michaels. We're going to be doing a show with Christy on January 6th, kind of commemorating what happened the last January 6th and how we can make better choices. So I'm looking forward to collaborating with you. Eleanor Joy, our favorite dancer, at 80 years old, leading the dances. Earlier, I saw Dr. and Mrs. Future were in the audience. So there's only one way we can end such a wonderful show, and that is because all things begin and end with Om Ashar.
This is so true. And Honey of the Heart. Holy smoke, that was so inspiring, Scott. Thank you. And they remind me of Jamishka, actually.
Yes, that's right. We got to have Jamishka on again.
They're a different flavor, but I can imagine them doing a show together. but you just get pulled into the love of their presence and their phenomenal musicianship and the beautiful voices. Wow, that was so inspiring. So, okay, let's do this, shall we? There we are. We're going to end the night, end the old world anyway, with some candles. And Eleanor, somewhere.
I love those candles.
Never walk this way again. Lay down all your guards. Your loving hearts will lead the way. The door is open. The wonderful and the new is waiting patiently. Take the step and you will see all you've been dreaming. Now is the time we've been waiting for so long. I've been holding you through all ages, knowing I'd be with you once again. You'll never be alone again. Please take my hand in yours. I love you just the way you are. You're my creation. The wonderful and the new is waiting patiently. So take the step and you will see all you've been dreaming. 'Cause now is the time you've been waiting for so long. I've been holding you through all ages, knowing I'd be with you once again. Ba-dum-ba-da-da-da. La-dum-da-da-da. You'll never walk this way again. So lay down all your guards. Your loving hearts will lead the way. The door is open. Now is the time you've been waiting for so long. I've been holding you through all ages, knowing I'd be with you once again. Wonderful and the new is waiting patiently. Take the step and you will see all you've been dreaming.
Another review, everybody. Give Omoshar some good love. Beautiful. Thank you, Omoshar.
Thank you, brother. Thank you all.
You know, it's become a fun thing putting the spotlight on people,
Hasn't it?
watching what happens when they realize how they're on the spotlight, right?
I know.
There's Eleanor Joy who just keeps dancing. She's cool. And then there's the ones that are like, you know, and we're all beautiful. I mean, it's, you know, whoever you are, whenever you're doing it, you're all beautiful.
That's right.
You know, please do the registration for next week, because next week we've got, and when I say the registration, I mean register and invite your friends, because we've put together a really special show for next week. And it's going to be all about ascension. And Deborah Giusti is coming on to co-host with me. And she is like the queen of ascension. That's her whole thing. And she is going to be bringing on some of the most amazing ascension teachers live with us. And so there's the poster. Next Saturday night, a week from tonight, join the Planetary Ascension. And this would be a great first show to introduce a lot of your friends to. We have the Twin Ray. I've got the hiccups, wouldn't you know? William Henry, the Stargate people, Brigitte and Julianne, and amazing music. Of course, we'll have Omoshar with us. Cornflower. We haven't had Cornflower on for a while. He'll be with us. Pamela Butters. Wait until you hear her. She's wonderful. Of course, everybody who was at the Global Peace Tribe retreat in October met Pamela. She did an amazing crystal bowl experience for us twice, actually. So do join us and invite your friends. Next Saturday night will be a really good show to invite them to. And then finally, join us tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning, it's going to be an important topic. Omoshar will be with us with some music. And we're going to be talking about overcoming religious disillusionment, dogma, trauma. Most of us have had some significant disillusionment around, usually in our early religious indoctrinations. I'm going to talk about that. And we've got two really beautiful guests. So that's tomorrow morning. As always, next weekend, we've got wonderful shows planned. So register, come in at the higher level, support the Awakening World, get free subscriptions for your friends. And thank you for being part of this beautiful Global Peace Tribe family. I'm going to go to gallery review one last time. So turn on your cameras. It's okay if you're in your pajamas. Jennifer Hill, I love co-hosting with you. You are a gem. Thank you so much. Omoshar, thank you for always being there. God's blessings, everyone.
Happy early birthday, my friend. Much love.
Thank you so much. Take care, everybody. Hope to see you tomorrow morning. Good night.